that is the question which I wanted to ask, because 20-point program was given us, Garibi Hatao program, which India was looking forward for the last 25 years before emergency. After the freedom, we wanted to eliminate poverty, which we couldn't. That is one thing. And also population control. There are two things which was, given us a positive side of all of it. And then the allegation those days was that it is only the middle class and the political opposition which needed all that freedom. Others doesn't need that freedom. So how did you respond to that? Because it's a trade-off between populism and freedom of expression.
Yeah. Did somebody say that actually in those days, that ordinary people didn't need freedom?
They didn't say it. It was implied that,
It was implied.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a feeling that is one of the weaknesses of democracy, and for the intending dictator or practicing dictators, that is their strength, because ordinary man doesn't react to laws of freedom very often. But you can't say that. It all depends upon how that pressure comes upon him, which freedom he is faced with losing. That is the thing, not the freedom that Cherian and I may think about. It may be like in UP, I think at that time, it's the villagers who found that some of their freedoms were gone. I don't know the details. In many of the North Indian villages, I think emergency created major problems because the ordinary man lost some freedoms, I think, and they were reacting to that.
Yeah, I thought that freedom was the Nasbandi issue, that vasectomy. You had to be forcefully.
Vasectomy issue.
That is yes, that is a very personalized, because I was talking to another person who was jailed in Jaipur. He said it was, nobody was bothered about other things, but the fear that even any man can be caught anywhere and forcefully, subjected to vasectomy was the issue, because it's also amounted to personal choices and personal freedom of human beings.
Yeah.
It went up to that.
Correct.
It was done in the name of family planning, but it was actually getting into the personal freedom space of people.
So that means, Cherian, then, that's it. Even the common man, so-called common man, if there is one, the ordinary citizen, even he can get affected depending on where or what turns out to be something that will affect him. I think that is what it is. And that is where I suppose dictators have to be very clever. They have to be very clever about how to run their dictatorship without hurting the common man or whatever it is. Hurting the intellectuals is not going to create any problem. Hurting the journalists and the media is not going to create any problem. All they know that nothing is going to happen. But the common man is a problem.
Soon after emergency, I'm told L.K. Advani did a statement that you were asked to bench. Many people crawled. So, what do you think was the response of the intellectuals and the media?
I think it was Mr. Nair who said that.
No,
was it Advani?
Advani. It's attributed to Advani.
Oh, it was Advani. I see. I thought it was Kuldeep Nair. No, okay. No.
But what did you make out of it? Was it true that journalists were,
Yeah, there is nothing. I mean, it needn't even be said that. But then I will not blame the journalists, because they had no other go. I wouldn't. A journalist who is earning bread for his family, and I'm not talking about the honest, because they have other kinds of money, but a journalist on a salary and which educates his children and pays his rent, he is not going to take a risk on anything. Nothing. But whether he overdid it, whether he became a crony, etc., is a different matter. I don't think many of them did it, but certainly several people, personally, people who were cronies and overdid it. But I hope they didn't take part in the atrocities. That's all I am hoping.
Yeah. What about the public intellectuals? Because there was a underground resistance movements, which came out as Baroda Dynamite case and all. what was the situation as far as public intellectuals were concerned?
Public intellectuals were, as far as I know, I don't remember the details because now it is so many years back now. It's 50 years, you said? Oh,
Yes.
that's a long time back. Okay, then, yeah, but it is still new in its own way now. Anyway, public intellectuals were also silent. Were also silent because even if a public intellectual wanted to speak out, he could do that only by, say, calling a meeting of people or something like that, or going and standing at the roadside and speaking. Because no print in those days. We had only print magazines. No print magazine would print you. No print newspaper will print you and give out your message. So even if somebody wanted to stick his neck out, a public intellectual wanted to do that, there was no way he could reach people unless even if he called a meeting and spoke, it would be 50 or 100 people. So that's all. Once something like the emergency, something like even an unspoken command command about censorship, an unspoken censorship comes into being, silence becomes inevitable because most ordinary people can't take a risk. In that case, you can't fight a state. That is the whole thing. Which is like the Naxalites carrying 3 guns or 4 guns and thinking they are fighting the Indian nation. The poor fellows, poor Naxalites of our times in Kerala. Yes. They were going around with guns which had to be loaded each time after you took one shot. And they thought they were fighting against the government of Kerala, which is a minor little thing, but the government of Kerala could crush them like a small ant. You see, this doesn't work. It doesn't work. Armed revolutions are just a dream operation.
Yeah, see, that comes to one of the important questions, because there is a lot of talk about undeclared emergency, and media and others again pirating this, whatever the governments at the governments, be it the state government or the central government wants. So, do you think that some of the emergency people have not learned lessons from emergency of 75?
No, Cherian, I'll give you an equally important answer because I have really never seen media going out on a limb and taking a risk and saying anything against a ruling government. Maybe, I don't know, in the time of Goenka and all, etc., maybe something, I remember maybe in the 70s or 80s, something like that happened, etc. But later on, as the assets of media houses grew, I think, which is not a crime. If somebody wants to make money, it is their business. So grew. I think it is a second nature for the media to support the government in almost in everything, unless they can dig up a really big scandal, which these days an ordinary monetary scandal even doesn't work. You need a woman in it, etc. Then it goes a little far. Yes. Then there is a sensational value to that. Beyond that, and if there is an undeclared emergency today, I don't think the media is especially worried about that, because it is really not the media's business to criticize the media. There is a routine criticism that goes on. Beyond that, it will not touch the government, whatever it is. Okay. It is part and parcel of its policies. Think about the advertisements only, the government advertisements only. It's just enough to stop that flow. You don't have to declare an emergency or anything. Just cut off that little thing. Yes. Matter is over.
Yeah. In fact, recently, I was told that the government ads plus those supporting the government, those industrial houses supporting the government, the combined percentage is over 50%. So no media house wants to lose that 50%. So, so that's where media
Let us face the fact. See, they are also survivors, the media houses. They are making money like XYZ, and they are carrying on. And see what's happening in the United States. Except for one or two newspapers, everything has been taken over. So, and when media houses are for sale, and when XYZ or ABCD can buy them up and turn it to their ideology, to their users, what is it? I think it would be wonderful to live in a free media society.
Yes.
But India is not known for that. To my to my little knowledge of India, no.
I know. So my last
and
question: what
adding to
are the lessons which you think India has learned and also unlearned thanks to the emergency of that 2 years? Because that is, as you said, that was it was like a shock to everybody. Even the British didn't treat us like that, but then our own government was treating for 2 years. But they say that even Mrs. Gandhi learned a lot of lessons. Do you think lessons from emergency that 2 years? Because when I was reading Pupul Jayakkar's biography of Mrs. Gandhi, and just before the election declaration of 77, she had met Jiddu Krishnamurti, and they had a closed door discussion for 1 hour. And Pupul Jayakar was written in that book, when she went out, she was crying, tears rolled down her eyes, and she never spoke a word. But the next week, elections were declared. So many people, then I heard Sharda Prasad on that day of elections going home and saying that I knew Mrs. Gandhi was Jawaharlal's daughter more than Sanjay Gandhi's mother. So these things, indicate that there was something personal also as far as the Prime Minister of the country was concerned. Don't you think so? They all learned some lessons in the whole process.
I doubt, Shreya. All this is, I can, if Pupul Jayakar has said it, I am willing to believe that. And if Sharda Prasad said it also, I am willing to believe that. But I don't think Indira Gandhi or anybody learned any lessons that are the lessons that should have been learned from such a terrible exercise. On the other hand, in my opinion, and I am 100% convinced, Indian political parties learned a very important lesson. That is how to capture power in India. If the ways of taking India into your control in a few minutes, in 1 day, in 12 hours, in 24 hours, India is in your hand. That is possible. That is what the most frightening example and lesson that Indira Gandhi's emergency gave to the political parties of India. They all know that if they have, all of them know, if they have enough power, enough number, or even without that, they learned the technique of capturing India if necessary. I think this is the most frightening part of emergency, and political parties have not forgotten it. They are not, complaining about in the jail, etc., etc. I don't think all that is forgotten. But this lesson they have learned. Anybody can capture India. It's not all that very difficult. That is what is
very frightening.
Not anybody. Yeah? It's very frightening.
Yes.
She set the model for that operation, and she got away with it for 2 years.
Yes.
So I don't think, and no political party learned anything from that. In fact, dictatorial tendencies of each political party, I am not referring to one particular, each political party, like my own state, it has only increased. It has not. Anti-democratic activity mindset of political parties, that democracy, because you have to use the name of democracy in order to come to power, they are tolerating democracy to that extent. You want people to vote. Once that is done, people are a nuisance. The whole business of democracy, the whole business of law and of the judiciary, etc., and debates in the assembly, all this is a headache. Why should you go through all? Why should you?
Yeah, almost a farce. But you think that is there any solution or any option for people other than democracy?
No. You have to keep on this cycle of elections. This 5-year cycle of elections will keep on happening, and the cleverer people will capture power, and they will do what they want. But in the process, let's be there. There is some minimum guarantees that they have to give the people. That without that, it may not be very easy for them, and they are maintaining that minimum guarantee kind of thing. Education, electricity, water, etc., etc. There are so many things, but most of it is managed by the economy is managed by the people, not by the government. Maybe some public transport systems, the railways, etc., are managed by the government, and they can make improvements there. But otherwise, the economy is a self-driven, people-driven, whether you call them rich or poor or whatever, or millionaires or whatever, it is driven by the people. So governments don't have much, but this minimum guarantee has to be made available. People should be kept happy, and they should be given the feeling that they are not unfree, that they have freedom. As we just now said, many people are not aware of any special need for freedom. So you only have to, as long as you don't block them from doing their normal life, like during COVID, for example, we had to block people. But as such things don't happen, nobody bothers.
Okay.
So politicians are happy.
That's our 40 minutes of Zoom chat. Thank you. And
thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.